I mean, there's more than one way to be wealthy than just financial wealth. Okay, now, here's what your Bible says about those who refuse to work. It's 2 Thessalonians 3 and verse 10. It says, "For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat." Now, you might want to just think about that the next time you see a person, maybe on the street corner with his little sign, "Will work for food." In fact, if you want to try it out, just offer that guy an onion to paint your home and see what happens. You know, or just pull up on a work truck, you know, with a chainsaw and weed eater, axe and cutting tools, and say, "Hey, I got about an acre of land I need to clear off. You know, work with me all day long and I'll pay you. I'll pay you very good for a day's work," and see what happens. Just see what happens, okay? Now, the first rule for helping the poor is this: don't become one. Okay, that's because you cannot give away that which you don't have. You see, if you are poor and God spoke to you and said, "I want you to start a soup kitchen. I want you to start a ministry to help poor people." If you're poor, you can't help the poor. So the first rule, and I learned this from someone else, another mentor, another minister, is this: the first rule for helping the poor is don't become one. Don't become a poor person. Okay, because you cannot give away that which you don't have. So let's deal with this illusion about Jesus Christ. That the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. The most common belief about Jesus is that he was homeless, rejected, and poor. The popular image of Jesus Christ is as a homeless vagabond is based on a few passages in the gospel, and we'll look at some of those verses that people use to try to prove this. Now let's go one step further. All right, let us all, if Jesus was like this, nowhere to lay his head, homeless, rejected, and poor, all right, let us all be like Jesus then. All right, if we were all like Jesus, and Jesus was homeless, rejected, and poor, and nowhere to lay his head, what condition would the world be in? Well, there'd be no wealthy people in the world. There'd be no charitable organizations in the world. There'd be no soup kitchens in the world. There'd be no Salvation Army. There'd be just a bunch of homeless, rejected, poor people with nothing to share with the rest of the world, because you cannot give away that which you don't have. Now, all men were created equal, but not all men use their gifts and talents equally. Now, we learned this from the parable of the talents. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1. And he said, go do something with what I've given you. And the 5 turned it into 10, and the 2 turned it into 4. But the 1 talent that was given to the person went and hid his money in the ground and did absolutely nothing. And Jesus comes back and says, "You wicked and slothful servant." In other words, you deadbeat bum, you didn't do anything with the talent that I have given you. Now, I want you to understand something. All people are created by God equal, and they have certain gifts and talents. We all have certain gifts and talents. So I just basically blew out of the water this idiotic notion that Jesus was a poor, hippie vagabond. Jesus used his talent to his full potential to save humanity, to save us, poor sinners, from an eternal death.
Check us out on the web at isthatreallyinthebible.com.